guys, ya se acercan to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today we're making Italian rainbow cookies. And these rainbow cookies are way better than the ones you get at a bakery. They're made with love, they're rich, they're decadent, and because we're using high quality ingredients, they are going to taste superior to anything you buy at a local bakery. And now you can make them at home and add them to your holiday cookie boxes, or just make them for the family, or give them as gifts because the best gifts are homemade. So today we're gonna start by making them, obviously. I'm using a tabletop mixer, but you can do this with a hand mixer as well. You're gonna need some almond paste for these because that is the main ingredient. These are almond flavored cookies, and most of the flavor comes from the almond paste. It's usually sold in the baking section of the supermarket, but if you can't find it, I'm gonna teach you how to make it homemade. It's super simple. So almond paste comes in a little box like this, and it should be really soft. We're not using this today, but if it's available at your grocery store, go ahead and get one, and then you'll skip this whole step. So we're making a really big batch because you might as well make a big batch. These freeze well. They freeze for a few months in the freezer, obviously. So why not make a big batch? So over here we have 2 cups of packed blanched almond flour. You want to make sure you pack it. The gram measurement is going to be on the website. We're going to need a little pinch of salt, like about a 1/4 teaspoon or so. A 1/2 cup of confectioner sugar. And these are the dry ingredients. I'm just gonna whisk them up all together. You don't have to do this in a tabletop mixer. You can just do this by hand in a big bowl and just a whisk or a spatula. But since we're using this today to make the cookies, why dirty one more thing? Okay, those are combined. Then we're gonna add 2 egg whites to this. I'm gonna save the yolks for a pudding or something like that. And a teaspoon of pure almond extract. Make sure you're using pure almond extract because that tastes the most like almond extract. The other ones all have some sort of aftertaste to them. So 1 teaspoon goes in there. I'm gonna mix this until it's all combined, and basically that's it. And that's it. That's all it takes to make almond paste at home. Very simple, very easy. I'm just gonna transfer this to a little bowl because now we're gonna start making the cookies. So now we're gonna add 3 sticks of soft, unsalted butter, 1½ cups of granulated sugar, 1 teaspoon of almond extract, and I'm gonna add all of the almond paste back in. We could have actually just left it in there. And I'm gonna mix this all together until it's nice and fluffy. That's what we're looking for. You want it to be all well combined. So once the butter and the almond paste and all that is mixed up, go ahead and add 6 room temperature eggs. A quick way to bring eggs to room temperature, if you forgot to take them out of your fridge an hour or 2 ahead of time, is to immerse them all in a bowl of warm water. You could switch that water out often and it'll bring the eggs to temperature often, or just set it aside for 15-20 minutes and they'll be ready to go. Add them in, try to add them in one by one and mix them on high speed until the batter is very well incorporated. And go in with a spatula and just give everything a nice mix to release anything that's stuck to the side of the bowl. Now we're gonna add the dry ingredients, which is simply some all-purpose flour and some salt. I'm just gonna whisk it together. And I'm just gonna add it slowly so that way it incorporates well. As soon as the flour is incorporated, that's it, the batter is gonna be ready. You don't wanna overmix it. Now give everything a nice mix. Again, you don't want anything to be stuck to the bottom. You want everything to be evenly incorporated. Okay, so now you can have 3 bowls ready because we're gonna divide the batter into these 3 bowls evenly. You can do this using a kitchen scale, or if you have a kitchen, what is it called, an ice cream scoop, just go ahead and put 1 scoop in at a time. So that way they're pretty much the same. They're even, actually. Okay, so now you want to get 3 quarter sheet baking trays ready with parchment paper. And you also want to have gel food coloring. I have red and green. Now one of the bowls of batter is not getting dyed. It's not getting any color because we need this color to be this way. I'm just going to transfer it first into one of the trays and I'm going to spread it out evenly. Hold the paper down so it doesn't go back and forth. So now I'm going to put about 20-25 drops of this red food coloring in here. And just mix it all up until the color spreads evenly. And then go ahead and spread that in the pan also. This one is also ready. And make sure you rinse your spatulas well so that way the colors don't mix. Then we're gonna do the same thing with the green. We're gonna put enough drops in here to get this at an even color, about 25-30 will do. Mix it all up until the color is evenly distributed. And then onto the tray it goes. So my oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. These are gonna bake for between 13 to 15 minutes. It depends on your oven. They're going to be ready when the toothpick that's inserted into the center comes out clean. Go ahead and run a spatula or a knife around the edges so that way the cakes or cookies, they're cookie cakes basically. They're cake-like cookies, so that way they release from the pan. Let them cool completely and then we're gonna put it all together. So the cakes were done in under 15 minutes. At about the 14-minute mark, I checked them and the toothpick came out clean. So I took them out. I never like to overbake them, so that way they stay really nice and moist. So keep that in mind. Check them at about 13 minutes. If they're firm and also the toothpick comes out clean, take them out, let them rest and cool completely. Now it's time to put them all together. So now you're gonna need a sheet of parchment paper, another little pan or something that can be transferred in and out of the freezer, some seedless raspberry jam, and I have some apricot jam here too. You can use one or the other or both. I like to use both. So what I'm gonna do first is take the pink layer and I'm gonna turn it upside down. Make sure that the parchment comes off. If it's stuck, just go ahead and peel it off. And then I'm just gonna carefully lift it and put it in the tray because we're gonna freeze it for a little while in a little bit. And then on the pink layer, I like to put apricot jam. Now you can warm the jam up a little bit. It makes it more easily spreadable. This is gonna be like the glue that's gonna hold it all together. You wanna make sure you get it all the way out to the edges. Then you're gonna take the white layer and put that on top. And do that carefully. And you can press it down so that way they stick together. Peel that parchment off. Now on top of this layer, I like to put the raspberry jam because I love the contrast in color. It just looks really pretty. And then go ahead and spread that out evenly. Now personally, I like a little more jam in between the layers. You can just leave it just the way it is. So I'm just gonna just make sure that you get it nice and even. That's what's key. And then last layer is the green. Get that on top, get it nice and even, and just press it down. Get that parchment paper off. And now the top is gonna get chocolate. Over here, I have semi-sweet chocolate. This is baking chocolate, the little bars or squares. And then I also have some semi-sweet chocolate chips. I'm gonna melt this in the microwave in about 20-second increments until it's nice and smooth. Now I'm just gonna add about a tablespoon of unsalted butter. This is gonna help make it a little more pliable where it won't really crack as much. You can substitute a tablespoon or two of heavy whipping cream if you wanted to instead of the butter. So now the best thing about these cookies is that you don't have to put the chocolate on it right now. You can make these 2 months ahead of time or keep them in your freezer for up to 2 months. How you would do that is you would wrap this tray as it is right now in plastic wrap. I would do 2 to 3 layers so that way it gets airtight and it doesn't absorb any smells from the freezer, and it'll stay fresh in the freezer for 2 months. They'll taste just as if you just made them. And then every time you want to take some out, just cut a portion that you want to ice with chocolate, put the chocolate on top, let it sit at room temperature until they thaw out, which really takes about 20-30 minutes. And then you cut them into little rectangles and you serve them to your guests with coffee or something like that. It's the perfect dessert to have on hand. It's also great if you make a double batch of this. You could freeze one and ice the other. But since we melted the chocolate and we're serving these today, actually, once you put the butter in there, whisk it really well so that way it melts completely. And now we're just gonna spread the chocolate on top. And now comes the hardest part, is waiting for these to set. The best way to do that is to pop them in the freezer for about an hour or so. Once they glue together, the jam is gonna hold them all together and the chocolate is gonna set. You can lift them out, carefully lift them out with the parchment paper onto a cutting board and then cut them into little squares or rectangles. The rectangle shape is traditional. That's how you find them in the bakeries, in the Italian bakeries or Greek bakeries all throughout New York and America. These are so delicious. I'm gonna set them aside, let them cool, cut them, and then we're gonna bite in. These cookies are gonna definitely brighten up your holiday cookie boxes or cookie platters. I like to put them in little cupcake liners because they look really pretty and they tend to get a little bit sticky, so they are easier to eat and serve and handle. It is time to take a bite. These are so rich, moist. The cake layers, they're basically little cake layers, are so nice and moist and almost a little bit sticky. That jam in between adds a delicious layer of sweetness. I love the way the chocolate hardens on top and you just get another different layer of texture that just makes it so good, so delicious. You guys are gonna love these. If you want to print out the recipe, head on over to dimitrasdishes.com to get all those exact measurements. Let me know what you guys think and let me know in the comment section what you want to learn how to make next. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, us.